Hi, and welcome to Boulder Life TV. I'm Marshall Hayes, your host for tonight's 6-ingredient kitchen. We are down at the west end of Pearl Street in a simply delectable little chocolate shop called Peace, Love, and Chocolate. I'll be in the kitchen tonight with PLC's Cocoa Coordinator, Chef Jenny, making some chocolate that has 6 ingredients or less.
Hello, Boulder. Hello, Marshall.
Hey, Jenny. What are we going to make tonight?
Well, tonight we're going to make our flourless chocolate cake, which includes 6 ingredients. It has dark chocolate, butter, sugar, pure vanilla, and eggs. This recipe is actually leavened not by a chemical leavening like baking soda or baking powder, but by eggs. So we're going to whip up our egg whites. So I'm going to show you real quick the easiest way to separate your eggs. Some people like to do this method where they flip-flop the egg yolks back and forth. Personally, I think that's an accident waiting to happen. So I just go ahead and crack the eggs directly into the bowl here, and then you just easily use your hand to scoop them out like this. And you use your fingers almost as a sieve or a strainer just to get all the egg whites off and separate your egg yolks. So that's the first thing we're going to do, separate our eggs. The other thing we're going to do is put our chocolate and our butter together on a double boiler. This obviously has our chocolate and our butter already in here. And then we're just going to melt it together. Now, the one thing you do want to be careful of is you don't want it to boil too much because it will start to spit water. And as you know, chocolate and water don't like each other. So we want to avoid doing that. Now, the best way to actually get the most volume out of your egg whites is to warm them up a little bit too. So you can go ahead and set this over the same double boiler, obviously, that you're melting your chocolate and your butter. And then you just stir it and let these warm up to room temperature. So you just go ahead and set it over the water. You want to stir it because the last thing we want is a big bowl of scrambled egg whites. So you just stir it like that. And then once they're at a room temperature, just to get the chill off of it, you can go ahead and use either a stand mixer like this gorgeous one we have here, or you can use a hand mixer. So we're going to go ahead and turn this on. Start it off a little slower, just to incorporate some air into it. And then just turn it up to high. And then this, of course, is going to start incorporating the air. It's going to get lighter and lighter as it goes. And you just want to let it go until it starts to get really frothy and starts to have a little bit more volume to it. Again, it'll do it a lot faster now that we have our egg whites a little warm as opposed to refrigerator cold. And again, we have here, this is about 3/4 cup of sugar, and we're going to put just maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons in with our egg whites once it starts to look foamy. And what this will do is actually stabilize our egg whites a little bit more to where they won't lose their volume once we start folding in the rest of our ingredients. And probably the biggest mistake people make is over whipping their egg whites. Because once you over whip your egg whites, and I'm sure you've seen it before, they get really dry and clumpy and they don't incorporate as well. So we're going to stop now, and you can sort of see the volume on these. Right there. See how nice that is? Some people say it gets to bird beak. You see that little tip on there? The peak looks just like a little bird beak. All right, so what we're going to do now is with the rest of our sugar that we have left is go ahead and put it into our egg yolks and mix that together. And then take our butter and chocolate mixture. We want to make sure to wipe the bottom of this because, again, the water and chocolate don't go together. And then we'll just go ahead, and you can go either way, mix your chocolate into your egg yolks or your egg yolks into your chocolate. It doesn't matter. Then we'll just mix these ingredients together. And I am notorious for forgetting our vanilla, which would be our 6th ingredient. So let me make sure to do that now. So we just want to get that all incorporated. You don't want to overmix this at this point because it will actually break, which means the oil separates from the cacao solids and it's hard to bring it back together. So we just want to mix it just till it's blended. And then we're going to grab our egg whites here. And we're going to sacrifice a few. This is what the technical term is when you take just about 1/4 of the amount total of egg whites you have and you're not folding it, you're actually sacrificing it / killing it, whatever term you like, to just sort of loosen up this batter a little bit. And that way, once you have it loosened, it's going to fold into your egg whites a lot better. It's not going to be as heavy. At this point, you put your whisk away. We're done with that because we're actually going to fold this mixture into our egg whites. And folding just means to very carefully stir it. So you grab the sides of the bowl like that, and you just mix it, bringing the product that's on the bottom up to the top, and you just fold it over, fold it over. And again, probably the second most common problem is, besides over whipping egg whites, is over folding too. It's okay if it has this marble streak look to it. In fact, that's what you want. You don't want big clumps of egg whites, but it's totally fine if it looks streaked, just like that. Now, here's a great hint too. When we bake this, we're gonna do it in, this is a 8-inch pan, but it's actually a 3-inch high pan too, because it does rise almost like a souffle, and then it falls once you take it out of the oven, which it's supposed to do. So if you can get either a springform pan, like a 9-inch by 3, you do want 3-inch high sides on this. And what we've done is just take a cake pan, spray it a little bit, line it with plastic wrap, which I know sounds absurd, but it works. And then go ahead and put your batter in there, and you can see that it's streaked a little bit. It's all going to melt together when it bakes, and it's going to be just fine, trust me. So then once we have it in our pan here, we're going to put it actually in a larger size pan. And this is just, you can either use like a 13 by 9-inch pan. This is obviously just a roasting pan. Set it in there and then pour hot water. You want to do hot water because, of course, if you do cold water, you're going to decrease the temperature in your oven, and you don't want to do that. But you just fill it up with hot water about halfway up the sides of the pan. And the temperature on the oven should be pretty low, like about 300 degrees. And then you're going to bake this for about an hour. And you do want to check maybe 45 minutes, make sure that your water hasn't evaporated. And then it should be done. And the best way to test it is actually to knock into it a little bit. And once it stops jiggling, it's set. So, like I mentioned, you can actually bake with saran wrap in the oven, because what we did is we put it in a water bath, which insulates the heat. It wasn't a high oven, so we baked it low and slow. And obviously, the saran wrap does not melt to your cake. It doesn't melt to your pan. It does work. I wouldn't give you a technique that didn't work. And so it's also very easy now to lift your cake out of the pan. If you need to, you can always warm it up by dipping it, again, sort of halfway in some warm water. Or better yet, you can just torch it, which is what we do all the time around here, just to warm it up a little bit. And then that'll help the cake release from the bottom, just like that. And then you can just take it off, and look how gorgeous that is. And then we're just going to set it right onto our platter, like that. If you want to garnish it, you can. You can put chocolate shavings around it. You can simply just put some fresh raspberries and knock some powdered sugar around it to plate it up. And then I'm going to show you the best way to serve it. So this obviously is all garnished up, ready to go. And again, the best way to serve it is, excuse me, Marshall, is to use what they call a hot knife. You can get a nice sharp knife, like a chef knife like this, run it under hot water, or better yet, get it warm however necessary. And this is going to make the cake cut like butter. If you use a cold knife, it will sort of drag a little bit and rip up your cake more. The easiest thing to do is grab another clean knife, and we'll get a slice for you. And this is a great technique for slicing cheesecakes and other, sort of dense cakes. Look how gorgeous this is. All for you. And again, you can serve this with some lightly sweetened whipped cream or some fresh fruit. Oh, mangez, mangez.
That's really good.
Thank you.
That's very good.
Good. And the wonderful thing about a flourless chocolate cake is, of course, it's naturally gluten-free, which is wonderful. So people that have gluten allergies or are trying to keep it out of their diet, it was and always is gluten-free.
Thank you, Chef Jenny.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching this episode of 6-Ingredient Kitchen. If you want to find this recipe or any others that we do, you can go to boulderlife.co. You can also find more information about Peace, Love, and Chocolate if you want to go to one of their Chocolate 101 classes. I recommend the Flourless Chocolate Cake. Or, if you're a beer fan, they do a class associated with Avery Brewing and chocolate. You might want to look that up at peaceloveandchocolate.com. Have a good night.